Welcome to the Charmed Web Show. I'm your host, Tricia Carr. I'm a medium, animal communicator, empath, and energy healer. On this show, we discuss spirituality, magic, and the unconditional love of the universe. We welcome listener calls to answer spiritual questions and to offer live readings. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome, everyone, to episode 4 of the Charmed Radio Podcast. And I am your host, as I said already on my little intro, but I'm Tricia. Hi, Tricia Carr. Nice to meet you all. I see we already have some callers lined up. I cannot tell you how blessed I am to see you on the line and to connect with you. I know you're listening as well, and it's such a treasure. I can feel it in my heart. And that's actually going to be the topic of discussion today, is feeling, because I'm going to start off by talking about, pardon me while I'm not quite on the mic, I'm just trying to grab my crystal. Oh, here she is. Okay. Just my crystal friends to support me. We're going to be talking today about tips for those expert feelers, those feelers by nature, empaths, and highly sensitive people. So I was guided by all of you beautiful people, and of course by spirit. What's the difference? There isn't one. To share some tips that I have learned about how to exist as a strong, healthy, sensitive. And so that's what we're going to do. But I actually was running just in perfect time. I'm not going to say I was running late. I was running perfect timing. And so I didn't get to do my little bit of centering and prayer to connect. And so I think that that's what I was meant to do on the air. And if you'll excuse me 1 second. Okay, everyone who's listening, if you so please, I hope you're in a nice, quiet space. If you are driving or something like that, which I think might be really challenging to do, to listen and on Blog Talk Radio and drive, or to call in on the phone that way too. So hopefully you're in a nice, quiet, comfortable space. Try to find a nice, comfortable body position. We're just going to get into this beautiful hour together, and we're going to ask for divine guidance. So take a couple of nice, cleansing, deep, connecting breaths with me. Just give it a pause in between. Let your out breath be longer than your in breath. And one more time. Isn't that beautiful? All right. And I have in my hand here, I have a few crystal friends, because they are working hard to bring more love and light and to help humans to remember unification and our divinity. And so I'm just going to do a little body scan to get into my body. You can do it yourself. You can just it's a quick way to just sort of align chakras, bring light into the physical body, the subtle body, the mental, emotional, and the energetic. Yeah, I can tell because I need to clear my throat that I definitely need to do this. So I'm just going to see almost like a Xerox laser going from the top of my head all the way down my body. Get some chills along the way. That's great. That's just presence. That's such a blessing. And as the awareness beam reaches down to the feet and even maybe the fingertips and the elbows and the tailbone, you can just see it extending out into roots into the ground, bringing with it any lower energies or toxins, and giving it over to Mother Earth with gratitude that she will compost it and change it back into neutral energy. And as she does that, that energy that is recycled and renewed seeps back up through those roots, nourishing all the way up to our tippy top of our hairs in our head and out the top, springing beautiful sprouts of flowers and perfect love and light and life. And just a beam of perfect divine light coming down and through the top of the head and to the core, all the way through the core, like a light beam
stretching down through that center channel of the body, of all the bodies, the subtle and the physical. And it goes straight down through our chakras, straight down into Mother Earth and into the core of the earth. And we feel that unity with Mother Earth and with Divine. And I would like to just formally ask angels and guides, thank you all of the archangels. I'm feeling Archangel Ariel at this time, that she's present with us. Perhaps there are some who are on the lines or watching either presently or as a playback, who are feeling some need of support from Mother Earth, or perhaps have some of your animal family that you feel that you're feeling some area where you would like some extra light. Ariel is looking over us for that. Ariel is also reminding us that we do have fourth dimensional helpers, fairies and gnomes, all different kinds of nature devas, that they're really close to us on this earthly plane, and that they're supporting us, and they're working with us. They're working with us to manifest these beautiful, exciting desires, to remind us that our natural state is joy and bliss. And what they ask in return is to join in their mission of looking out for Mother Earth and her creatures. And that's what they would like in return. And they would like a partnership. Archangel Michael is here with us, and I see him swinging his sword of light all around like in a cyclone, and as it makes this circular motion, it's raining down a sphere all around us of perfect light. You can feel it, maybe little like sparkly, glittery snowflakes, like these microscopic snowflakes, just touching it down upon your skin, and just reminding you that this is a safe place. This is a glorious place. Not only safe is the very basic part, but safety is beautiful. Safety is rich. Safety is abundance, and safety is trust. And trust is a living word that stretches out into all eternity. And trust is a counselor. And trust is connection to divine. It's one of those tendrils to divine. This is beautiful. Wonderful. And here comes Jesus. Well, he's always here. And Jesus is here, and he's just reminding us that we are love, and we are light, and that we are made of love. It's impossible to be separated from love, and anything that would indicate the contrary is an illusion. But fret not, that illusion is just a lesson. But at any moment, you can just remember that you are love. You are made of love. That is what powers you. You are God's stuff. We all are. Okay, whew, that's pretty wonderful. Oh my goodness, I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm back here in the present and adjusting my chair again. I'm a little goofy. I hope y'all don't mind. After all, I am but human. Okay, so let's talk about, before we get to calls, we're going to talk about empaths and highly sensitive people. I talked about this a little bit last night on an online class that I had, because I was talking about how to open up your intuition. And I was asserting that if you're interested in opening up your intuition, that you are a highly sensitive person. Perhaps you're an empath. If you're interested or attracted to this radio program, because we are a universe that is governed by the law of attraction, then there is a chance that you are either HSP or an empath, or both. And the reason that's a great chance is because I'm both. And so if we're resonating on the same frequency, it's probably because we have some things in common. We can learn from one another. So let's talk about what HSP, highly sensitive person, is, and what empath is. So highly sensitive person is actually a scientific term, because there was a doctor named Elaine Argon. Am I saying her name right? Or Aron? No, sorry, Elaine Aron. It's Aron. You can look her up if you want to learn a little bit more about her work. Her work was I guess most active in I think it was the 70s and 80s, or maybe mostly the early 80s or late 70s, I should say. And she actually coined and defined highly sensitive person and was able to scientifically quantize, meaning measure, the phenomena of being a highly sensitive person. By the way, I have one Facebook Live viewer right now. I just want to say thank you for joining me and let you know that I'm actually, if you would like to join us on the radio show, it's at Blog Talk Radio, and you can look up Charmed and Charmed Radio podcast, or you can look on my Facebook page here, and you can find the link right on the events, and it's basically right on the front cover. And anyone else who's listening, it would be, if you would like to stay in touch with me, I would recommend following me on Facebook, facebook.com/Tricia Carr Charm, and I'm TRICIA CARR, and then the word charm. So back to highly sensitive person and Dr. Aaron. So she defined a highly sensitive person as someone who is on the first of all, not in any particular order, but is a person who is physically sensitive. Their nervous system is more sensitive. So that can amount to basically every kind of input that you can imagine. All of your physical senses, including, like sense of touch, or being extra sensitive to chemicals. And I say extra sensitive, we should all be sensitive to inorganic, harsh, toxic, we all are, sensitive to toxic chemicals. And I feel like it's unfortunate that maybe some people are, they aren't as lucky as we are. They aren't as sensitive. They don't have as an early a warning system to know that they're being poisoned. So whereas it may sometimes feel like being very physically sensitive is a curse, trust me, it's actually a blessing, and it is most certainly meant to be a strength. And so that's what we're going to talk about today: how to feel that as a strength. And so physically sensitive, and now that can show up, that can manifest in all, like I say, in all ways. Or you might be like a little less sensitive in some other ways than compared to another person. So you might be like really sensitive to light and to harsh smells, but it doesn't really bother you, the traffic noise. You don't really notice it, or even loud noise. If there's a sudden loud noise, maybe that doesn't really bother you. Or you might be more sensitive to strong tasting foods, something that's really acidic or something that's really sweet. Or any of those things. You could have all of those things, or maybe you don't really notice some of them, and that's whatever it is. That's just you, and that's beautiful. So the other component after the physical sensitivity, the sensitive nervous system, is just basically being more sensitive to the emotional and mental, energetic climate. So this is what I find really fascinating, is that there's actually a doctor who has scientifically quantized this, has measured this. So a highly sensitive person will, for example, pick up on other people's moods, walk into a room and feel the vibe of the room. We call it like, that room has a weird vibe. Or you walk into the room and you're like, ooh, these people, they're not saying anything right now, but somebody's mad at somebody. That's just the really simple examples. And everyone, by the way, is, this isn't exactly telepathy. It is kind of. It's a form, because basically telepathy is just understanding vibrational language. So this is sort of a tangent of something that would be close to telepathy, because it is just absorbing in a way, definitely, not just in a way, almost literally, absorbing the vibrational atmosphere, the vibrational language, the non-physical stuff, the waves that are flowing through people and spaces. Now, for highly sensitive people, you definitely pick up on a lot of the sorrow and the joy. But I'll put a pin in that, why I wanted to mention that, because I'll now explain what an empath is. So an empath basically could be HSP, fall exactly under the definition of HSP. I can't really imagine that an empath isn't also an HSP, but maybe it's possible. Empath is someone who feels other people's emotions as though they are their own. So the difference between being an empath and having empathy, everyone is capable of empathy, and that is what is going to bring unification to that. That is one of the chief things, the functions that does bring unification to the earthly plane. So having empathy really means like, oh, my friend just went through a breakup, and she's sad, and I don't want her to be sad because I care for her. And also, I can remember when I had a breakup and how that broke my heart. And so that makes me want to extend a kind of compassion to her. So basically, empathy goes from referencing your feelings about a past event, say, or your own experience, and your own experience including how you feel about your friend and that you love, the other person, and then to extending compassion. So that's just an example. It goes from reference to compassion. But an empath would have their best friend break up. And even if she didn't know that her best friend had broken up, she would suddenly be feeling all of the emotions associated with breaking up, which could be, fear, depression. I can't even, all of the things. And then if the empath doesn't know that she's an empath and doesn't realize what's going on, or even if she just doesn't know that she doesn't recognize that these feelings are not her own because she hasn't learned yet that her friend broke up, she may then just start to assign it to something to her life because she has all these feelings. They feel native, like they are her own. So she will say, oh no, what's going on with my boyfriend or my husband? Maybe he's mad at me. Oh, is he cheating? Just started to feel these catastrophic feelings. So that's the worst case scenario. Well, maybe it's one of the worst case scenarios. And that's actually how I lived most of my life. So there is some overlap, but the main thing is as either an HSP or an empath, it is important to be spiritually hygienic, is what I call it. So what does that mean? Well, what does hygienic mean when you are talking about just the physical world? Well, you want to be eating healthy, right? So as an HSP and an empath, you want to be consuming healthy energy as much as you can. Now, it's like, okay, well, to be a healthy person, I want to consume healthy foods and, clean water. But, I travel, and so sometimes I can't always control my diet. Or, every now and again, I do have a, gooey fried something or other. So, your physical body is strong and it can overcome that. And especially if you really ask for, spiritual protection, you can always ask angels to help you to manage your diet, whether it's your physical food diet or it is your spiritual food diet, to help you to find those choices, to bring them to you in a miraculous way if you feel like you don't have proper choices. So what does that mean then, your spiritual food? Well, that means don't watch the news. I can't stop saying don't watch the news, but I mean don't watch the news. If you listened to my show before, then this is redundant. I said it to a caller, I don't remember if it was last time or the time before. Don't watch the news. We have this social conditioning in which we're told that watching the news is a socially responsible thing to do. No, the news is just marketing. The news is just trying to sell you something. You will be a socially responsible person and learn about what's important in the world if you don't watch the news. Because you can just set your intention to. You can ask, for angels to just bring you the information that is important for you to know, so that you can be socially responsible, to be, involved in the world in a way that is helpful. And how it is helpful, your involvement in the world is helpful, is when you are at a higher vibrational state. So what I mean by higher vibrational is that, love is the highest vibration in the universe. So your state, because we are just energy, everything in the universe, everything that is seen and not seen is energy. I mean, that again is a scientific thing. Matter is energy. So your spiritual being should, you want that to be higher. We're always working to bring our core vibration and our moment-to-moment vibration higher, so that we can remember that we are love, that we are the energy that we're made of is love. So higher vibrational, as opposed to watching the news and becoming so heartbroken and experiencing the suffering that the news is selling you. Now, I'm not saying that it's not real. It is. But you experiencing the suffering is just making suffering your point of attraction, your point of experience in the world. So you're vibrating at that. You're contributing suffering back into the world. You suffering on behalf of the people in the world that it does not help them. it's not prayer. Now, if you when you become more spiritually hygienic, and you can take in the information in a cleaner way, and then you can release any suffering and allow it to leave your energy space, your emotional space, and then you can pray, and then you can send love. So that's how you would manage it, is that it doesn't stick to you, and it doesn't interfere into your heart space and bring your heart space down to a lower vibration. I know I'm being really quick and kind of cursory with this, but it's just an overview. So that's the duty as empaths and HSPs. So again, the universe is not actually hiding anything from us. We say like the secrets of the universe. It's what actually is going on is that everything's really, really obvious. You can take all of the stuff that happens with our physical body and use it as a metaphor. That is happening with your spiritual and your non-physical bodies. Okay, so we talked about we want to be physically healthy. We're going to be consuming good, healthy foods. We're also going to be exercising, right? We're going to be moving our bodies. Well, the spiritual moving that we would do is we're going to be praying, we're going to be meditating. And meditating, by the way, doesn't mean just one single kind of thing where you clear out your mind and all your thoughts. That is what happens at some point, is that you stop momentum of compulsive thinking in any kind of meditation. But there are all kinds of ways to meditate. Meditate is really just about focusing upon a particular point. So you could meditate in the traditional ways where you're doing a guided meditation or you're doing some breathing meditation. It could be a walk in nature. I have really meditative states while I'm driving. When I'm on a kind of longer drive and I'm listening to a spiritual podcast, oh, that's some of the best spiritual growth I've had. And sometimes I have to pull over because then I start receiving all these wonderful, this edification, and I just want to write it down. Salt baths. This is another great way to. I say salt because I mean like sea salt, not iodinized salt. That table salt, don't do anything with that. Sea salt though, just pure sea salt, that's glorious for you. You can take a nice bath. I mentioned it came to me actually guided last night during my class that if you just sat down for 30 seconds twice a day and did nothing but breathe deeply, I swear that would be a profound meditation, and it would make a big change in your life. So, and I mean, because 30 seconds is really actually a long time when you're just breathing and being present. And that's actually the glory of meditating, is because it does, it releases you from the illusion of time. Oh my gosh, because time is an illusion. And it's so wonderful. If you sit down for 5 minutes, you set a timer and you breathe, you're going to feel like you just had 6 days in that 5 minutes. I mean, that's what the kind of space it gives you. So I highly recommend you pursuing your whatever your meditative practice can be. And sometimes meditation, like I say, is prayer, where you're supplicating and you're asking, and then meditation is receiving. What else? So the other thing is to know your emotional body and to know your energetic space. So I'm going to give you just one more tip to help you to connect with your emotional body. And there's a few ways to do it that you can look up. But the first way I want to tell you is that you can, let's say you're feeling some strong emotion. You can take a breath and just ask, is it mine? You will get a yes or a no. You'll get a feeling, yes or no. And so this is something that both empaths and HSPs have to do. This is a practice they need to work with. As an empath, you believe that what you're literally feeling is yours. As an HSP, it's almost like you've gotten dirty, and you now it's starting to put you in that different kind of a mood, a different kind of a spiritual health. So is it mine? And if you get a no, then you just send it back. And don't think of sending back as something that is wishing ill on anyone. It's just basically because wherever it came from, it's native to, that's where it wants to be. And you're not wishing any harm on anyone. You are just owning your own space and being responsible with it, your own energetic space. So some other things you can look up on your own, and maybe I'll cover them in some other class or broadcast. You can look up cutting etheric cords. Excuse me, my nose itches. My mama used to say, well, if your nose itches, that means somebody's coming with a hole in their britches. I'm from Texas. It doesn't make any sense, but I guess if my husband walks in here and he has a hole in his pants, then, she's right. Cutting etheric cords, you can look that one up. Someone reminded me in the last broadcast about mirroring, and that is, again, it's kind of like sending back. It's if you feel something coming in, then you're going to mirror it back, basically sending it away. The person was concerned that it actually was in a way, wishing ill upon others. Again, that's not what that's about. And of course, it is only in your own intention that's what counts. That's what matters. And there was one more I wanted to say, and it was, the sway test. So you can look that up. Sway test is another way to say, is it mine? If you want some reinforcement as to whether some energy that you're feeling or perceiving, mood, anything like that, and a thought or a mood, you can do a sway test, whereas you stand facing due north with your feet hip width apart. And you, when you say something true, you're going to sway forward. When you say something false, you're going to sway backward. So you would say I would say, my name is Tricia. I would sway forward. I'm going to say, I feel angry about Donald Trump. And I would sway backward because I don't feel angry about Donald Trump right now. I'm sorry if y'all do. But I don't. I'm just sending it all back. You know what I mean? Like that, or you can say, to test the no, you can say, if you get, I feel, you actually think you feel angry about Donald Trump and you get a test no on that means that it's someone else's, and then you can send it back. You don't really have enough investment to have that emotion that, it's just you're picking it up. But you can test it, you say your name to get a yes, and then you could say my name is Franklin, and then if you sway backwards, then you're like, okay, so that's you're testing your swaying back and forth to get your yes and no. And then I also did a pendulum broadcast. I'm trying to post the video up. I'm having some technical difficulties on YouTube. But you can find these videos of these on YouTube. You just need to look up my the Charmed web show is how, if you Google that, or if you look for it in YouTube. I don't have a domain name that's unique yet. I have to post more videos. That's how YouTube works. And you'll be able to find the web version of this with some video. But the pendulum, you can use a pendulum to start to get the feeling of, is it mine? Get yeses and nos and whatnot. But at the end of the day, the point is to be able to have your energy bodies, your non-physical bodies, healthy and clean. So it's what you bring in, and making sure that you are exercising. Exercise, eat right? That's it. It's exercising and eating right. And then, of course, it is, I guess that's about it. Wow, that's simple. See how simple it is? Isn't that what you do? And then, I know what else. You also, part of that input is, I wouldn't, go and give a big old kiss to someone who had the flu, would I? Now, what really keeps you from getting the flu is less exposure and more your immune system, but we don't test it, right? We know if your immune system has a little chink in it, then you don't want to test it by going and taking in bodily fluid and letting someone sneeze on you. So what that means is to keep your environment clean. If you have a toxic work environment, then, just set the intention that you want to change that, and be patient, and you will get some support in that.
To hear this full episode, subscribe to the Charmed Radio podcast on iTunes. Thanks for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.